there. If this number is not halved, it means that each child that is born should have double that number. I don't know what would have become by now, because remember, we've got parents and parents. If this number was never halved, I'm sure we would have had organisms with billions of, of chromosomes by now, from the time human beings were in existence. But no, it never happens. We have always had 46 chromosomes. This is because these germline cells are haploid. They carry half the number of chromosomes. So the take-home message: in our bodies, we've got somatic cells. Somatic cells carry the complete complement, the complete set of chromosomes. And the germline cells, these guys carry half that number, and it is restored at fertilization, because the zygote that develops after fertilization has 46 chromosomes. So up to this point, we have seen that different species have different chromosome number. But when we say that humans have 46 chromosomes, are these 46 separate chromosomes, or they are organized in some way? Remember, when we asked ourselves what does the chromosome number tell us? Sometimes it can even tell us about the organization of these chromosomes. So now at this point, we've understood species have got different numbers of chromosomes. In addition to that, even within the same individual, the chromosome number is not the same throughout the cell line. Some cell lines, such as somatic cells, have got the complete complement, 46, and they're referred to as diploid. The sex cells or germline cells have got half that number and refer to them as haploid. But then these chromosomes in an individual, are they separate? Are they organized in a certain way? And things like that. So let's just look at this question. So now, chromosomes exist in pairs. These chromosomes exist in pairs. So now, for us to understand this, remember what I said. We have got 46 chromosomes. I'm referring to the somatic cells right now. We've got 46 chromosomes in these somatic cells. 23 of those came from my mom. 23 of those came from my father. Now, those chromosomes, of the 23, let's say chromosome 1 has to pair with chromosome 1 from my mother. Chromosome 2 from my father has to pair with chromosome 3 of my father. But how is this pairing done? Is it just abruptly finding yourself with anyone you can find in that cell? No. This pairing is consistent with the genes that they carry. Let's say, for example, gene C, if this gene here, there's a small letter, let me go to where there's, okay, let me just use this one. Here there's a small letter C, and here there's a capital letter C. So what this, let's say this gene is for height, okay? Let's say this gene at this position is for height. And you are assuming that this chromosome came from the paternal, from the father line, and this one is maternal, came from the mother. So we're asking ourselves, how are these chromosomes pairing? Okay, because we're saying this chromosome exists in pairs. Of those 46, they're in 23, they're a pair of 23. That is to say, how are these chromosomes coming together? It's not just by chance. This chromosome is carrying a gene for height. At this position from the father, this chromosome is carrying the gene for height. So there's something, these chromosomes are pairing on the fact that at the same position, they're both carrying genes for height. This one from the father and this one from the mother. Let's say the next gene on this chromosome is for color. Let's say for B, this is darkness. Let's say brown, very light. Maybe this is no, let me use something, maybe intelligence. No. I want to use a good example. Let's say your ability to roll your tongue. Okay, that's genetic actually. So let's say the father was carrying a gene B for rolling the tongue. That is to say he's capable of rolling the tongue. This gene also must be a gene for tongue rolling. So meaning that at each and every position of the genes of the chromosomes that pair, they carry the same genes or the genes for a particular trait. Remember, when you said tongue rolling, the trait is going to be that you're able to roll your tongue. That's what we see, isn't it? That information is coming from the genes. So these chromosomes, they pair on the basis that they carry the same combination of genes at the same position, okay? In fact, what we can also learn from this diagram is that this location of this gene is referred to as a locus. It's like an address, okay? This is a whole chromosome. Okay, and we know how this chromosome came about. We have got the DNA unwinding and then compressing and things like that. At this point, the specific position of a gene on a chromosome is referred to as a locus. Okay, so this is like an address. Right now, if I ask us where do we stay, you're going to tell me I stay on plot 8008/M. I'm in Guerrero. That is my address. These genes have got an address, a specific position that they're sitting on the chromosome. These chromosomes that pair, that is to say, one from the father, one from the mother, they pair on the basis that they're carrying the same genes for a particular trait. For example, we say this is maybe your color, the color of your skin, this could be your height, this could be, intelligence, all those things that you can see. Some of it, even your temper, some of it, your blood group, and so on and so forth. The point here is that these chromosomes exist in pairs. How do they pair? It's not just by chance. The chromosomes that pair carry the same combination of genes. Okay, so what we see here also, we can learn something to say. We know that when the this is a small letter C and this is a capital letter C. We can also learn about dominance and recessive genes. The dominant ones, for example, if this is about height, if you carry a capital letter C and a small letter c and you end up being tall, it means that the gene for the capital letter C is dominant, meaning that the one that your father was carrying is going to be suppressed. And we normally say this. There are times when you've got a father who is very light and the other parent is dark, or vice versa. You find that maybe all the children are light and maybe all the children are dark. It tells you something about the dominance of the genes that they're carrying. Okay. Anyway, the take-home message here is that these chromosomes exist in pairs. This pairing is not by chance. It's based on the fact that these chromosomes, they carry the same combination of genes. But when we say the same combination of genes, it doesn't mean that they're both dominant. Dominant, they'll express themselves in the end product. Some of them can be recessive, both of them can be dominant, both of them can be recessive, and so on and so forth. Now, let's look at what we refer to as homologous pair of chromosomes. In short, what we see here is these are homologous pair. An homologous pair of chromosome, it means that they carry the same combination of genes. But recessiveness not here. We're talking about this at this genes the same. So these are referred to as homologous chromosomes. They are homologous chromosomes because they are going to have the same height, and also the genes that they're going to carry will have information for the same trait. Remember, we defined a trait yesterday that this is a visible characteristic that you can observe, you can